Hi, my name is Amy Jimenez, and I'm running to be your next mayor of Compton. So I am first generation Mexican American, hija de padres mexicanos. I was born in Gardena but raised here in Compton. And as someone that came from that is first generation Mexican American, my mom really pushed education to acquire that social mobility. So as such, I graduated with my high school diploma and associate's degree. I earned a full tuition scholarship to go to school in Michigan, Kalamazoo College, where was on a trajectory to become a teacher because education played a huge role in my development and my professional growth. And following that, after working with students around the world and locally, I realized that I wanted to solve issues that I couldn't as a teacher because I was limited in my role. And so following that, I wanted to investigate further really how state, local, and federal government function, and I was a Capital Fellows. I participated with the fellowship program in which I worked for the California Conservation Corps and really focused on the implementation and the executive branch of government. After that, I left with more questions than answers ultimately, but with a better understanding of how money is implemented and how programs really and how government really works. I then worked for a nonprofit. I devoted my formative professional years working as an advocate representing Latino students and minority students at the state level, pushing for a change in the way California funds its public systems. And so as a minority woman myself and as a first generation, I felt like it was the right time for me to acquire my master's degrees, and so I attended the London School of Economics and acquired my master's in international social and public policy. I did that. I invested in myself because I wanted to come back to my community and really make a change and really be part of the positive movement moving forward in various roles. It doesn't necessarily have to be as a mayor, but at this time I felt like that was the right choice for me, and just because I wanted to bring awareness to different issues that other candidates aren't doing so. And so that is who I am, and I lead as someone with I come from humble beginnings, and I really believe in including the community in all of this process. And I'm not doing it for myself. This movement and this action is more about the community and really creating positive change that not only addresses our issues of today, but what are the issues that are to come in regards to climate change? Are we building resiliency towards that? That's very important for me. As I mentioned in previous interviews, I really believe that brown and black communities are the future of America, and I want Compton to be a leader in not only the state but in the nation, and all eyes are on Compton. Compton is known internationally, so I really want us to start investing in and becoming a green hub, to start thinking about green jobs. Also in terms of families, I envision a Compton in which we're not only resilient towards insecurities in terms of housing and food, but we're resilient against climate change. We need to start investing in solar panels and things of that nature. We also need to start investing in our youth. There's a huge disengagement, and we can't afford to lose another generation of students to this disengagement. We need to, as a community, we need to show up. I envision a Compton that embraces everyone, regardless of their ethnic background. I envision a Compton that bridges the gap, the generational gap as well. And with that said, my priorities are infrastructure and a green revitalization, transparency and accessibility in terms of City Hall and leadership, and also public safety and community well-being. While these are my three priorities, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm leaving education and health and economic development behind. These are all intertwined, and as a leader, you have to be able to see the intersection between all of these areas. These are skills in terms of leadership. It doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of the city mayor. I think a a skill that's necessary is being pragmatic, really being able to distill what works and doesn't work. We can all have dreams, right? But we have to have an action plan. Also, being resourceful is another one. I think our community is known for that. We have to act very in resourceful manners, collaborative, being able to work with different groups, even though they disagree or can agree with you. I think that's important. I also think that someone that's an advocate, you have to be an advocate of the residents, you have to be an advocate of the city in order to raise up to the issues that are controversial and to garner support not just from the city itself, but from the county, from the state, and from the federal level. And so with that said, I think those and also having a huge sense of responsibility. You can't be selfish in this role. Your priorities and your self needs come last. I think it's really important to really be a role model for young youth to follow, and I can see that now. I feel my peers are a huge support, and they are looking to me to see what I do next. And I think I want to lead with, not that I think I will lead with that. So in terms of my campaign, it's completely grassroots and people-centric. Now, what does that mean? That means that I'm just receiving donations from community members, residents, my personal network, and also just small businesses. I am not receiving donations from unions or corporations. And then in terms of people-centric, the agenda isn't my agenda. It's an agenda that reflects the needs and desires of the community. What I've done so far is worked with young people like myself to say, hey, how can I improve this platform? What do you see here that's missing? And so that has been a beautiful collaboration where I'm meeting people that I haven't ever met before, but we're all invested in the same thing and improving our situation. I believe in re-envisioning the current public safety model. I think there's always room for improvement. And so what I really foresee for our community is a community-based partnership in which the community is at the forefront in terms of communication and increasing the amount of communication with the with the police division. And so I believe in creating programs and where we kind of break down these barriers between police officers and our community, such as safety walks. I also believe in in creating a bigger role for communities, such as a community committee, for instance, in which we talk about issues regarding individual resiliency, family resiliency, community resiliency, and urban resiliency. These are all multiple levels and aspects of public safety. I also envision a community and a public safety agenda where we don't necessarily have to have the presence of police officers. Why don't we replace that with community members? I mean, we've seen that at the LAUSD and Compton Unified College, where they don't want police officers in public schools, and I think we can follow that model and that format in public spaces such as green spaces like these. We don't need that. We can improve and create not improve, but definitely forefront the presence of parks and recreation officers, for instance, just community officers that people look up to, that esteem, and resolve issues that don't necessarily require the police. Yeah, so Compton has a water utility division, and we can't allow us to become the next Flint, right? And so I think definitely working with that division and seeing what are the downfalls and where are the areas of improvement. But in terms of just the larger, broader picture, clean air, just climate change, we need to create a climate action plan in collaboration with neighboring cities. I mean, oil refineries isn't a unique problem to Compton. We need to start addressing that through partnerships and collaborations and holding private companies accountable with what they're doing, making that information more accessible to the community, and really having that private-public accountability set forth. displacement occurs when you leave out the community, and they have a huge say in this, and it happens when you present ideas but you don't present the whole problem. And so when you present this is a big picture, this is where the economy is, this is where we emphasize, we are known for manufacturing, transportation, sales, and services, but we're moving, the nation as a whole is moving towards a shift in green economy, towards a shift in technology, and we're being left out. We have to jump on that and be ahead of these issues, well, not issues, but of these transitions. And so I think by presenting it in that format and really having the community have an inclusive say and saying we can work with these partners. Are these welcome? Do they have a social equity agenda? Are they the right fit for our people? Will they provide the right training and licenses? Will they accommodate to where we are, in order for us to develop our workforce? So that's what I foresee that.
Thank you.
Mhm.